This is an all-electric Fiat 500 given to us by NiftiBusiness, sponsors of the Anton Savage Show on Saturday. And in it is Mario Rosenstock, who's taking us to Trinity College to explain why he went there and why the degree wasn't his motivation. I have to ask you why we're heading in this direction, because ironically, 2 or 3 days ago, I was watching on YouTube an interview from 1993 with Joe Duffy and Gay Byrne on The Late Late Show. And Joe had just joined RTE, and he was talking about the opening of the Nassau Street Gate and his resentment at the fact that it was described as throwing Trinity open to the people of Dublin by virtue of the fact that they could now come in through Nassau Street. That was the whole socio-economic thing, iron flat. It threw open its arms to you. You are a Trinity graduate, hence you are taking us to Trinity.
And 1993, I would have been still there.
Doing what?
Business, economic, social studies, but really I was doing politics and economics.
Good Lord, I was all braced for drama or English or philosophy.
See, this is the two things, right? So I wanted to go to Trinity because Trinity had the best amateur dramatic society in the country. And I knew this before I went to Trinity. So people like Rough Magic and lots of people who ended up in the Gate and all these people had all gone through Trinity. And they'd all done what's called players in Trinity. And so from the age of 15, 16, I said, I've got to get into Trinity because I want to be in that players. But if you did drama in Trinity, you couldn't do players. It's that peculiar...
You had to keep your amateur status.
Kind of thing. It's that kind of internecine little academic battle of drama people can't do players. Do you know that kind of thing? So you have to do a normal degree. So I said, what'll I do? So I did politics and economics. Really was actually quite good. So you had history of political thought, you had Irish politics, you had sociology, Russian politics, and I was studying Russian politics in 1991. Around that time when it just...
And had you a pre-existing interest in that area?
Yeah.
You were
loved politics.
Politically intrigued?
I loved politics, I loved the characters of politics. So I would have been very interested in watching, Gareth Fitzgerald and Haughey debating on television in the 80s. I would have been interested in that Goo-Boo thing even when I was 11.
Really? When you were in school?
Yeah, I would have been fascinated by it.
And your interest in drama was with the desire to be an actor?
Interest in drama was 100% a desire to be an actor. I had no aspirations to be a comedian. I didn't understand it.
But it wasn't just that you wanted to do amateur dramatics while you were in college. That the aim was,
oh no, 100%.
An actor.
Not just an actor, a professional actor. And I became a professional actor in college because after one of the shows I did, there was a letter on the notice board going, we think you're great, would you like to become a professional actor? We're an agent. And I went, what? This is like something you'd see in the movies again.
Did you want to be an actor because something drew you to theatre and TV?
Completely.
Not fame?
I wouldn't discount that entirely. I think you're a liar if you think that you discount that entirely. There's something that's drawing you to be the centre of attention, to being in the, as Theodore Roosevelt said, the man in the arena, to be the centre stage. And that's what drew me to tennis. You see, because in tennis, you are two people on a court, right? The court is an amphitheatre. You hit balls to each other across. The crowd look at you. It's quiet, it's tense. Hitting the ball is like your line, my line, your line, my line, your line, my line, resolution. And I remembered thinking, that's what drew me to tennis. It was actually drama. I loved the drama of tennis. So when I was watching Borg and McEnroe, I wasn't watching their backhand or back forehand. I was watching two gods being observed and exchanging power with each other, yeah? And so I realised that it wasn't just tennis I was loving, it was the drama of it. And I wanted to be in that drama too.
Well, that's the thing that...
I adored it. I adored not being myself.
But why did you stop it? Because I remember when I first met you, you very actively and deliberately didn't tend to appear anywhere as Mario. You would do things in character.
Yeah.
The wizard was always behind the curtain.
Yeah.
You took him out from behind the curtain recently. Why?
Because I realised, one, that people are interested in seeing the person that does it. And two, I realised that I had quite a lot to say about everything and I could actually inform more about my work by talking about it rather than just being exclusively a mimic. And another reason was I wanted to do stuff as myself, so I wanted to present a radio show and I wanted to do a podcast.
What, if any, impact did being a father and being a father of a young adult have in any of the kind of self-reflection that you're describing, if any?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, don't be reckless. Become much more, because you realise your own physical health is now paramount, not just for yourself but for somebody else. So don't be so reckless.
Do you try to be an example? Do you change yourself because you know you're being watched? Does that matter?
I'm being watched by them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not watched actively, but that.
Oh yeah, be a good example.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah. I mean, sure, I had tremendously unstable upbringing myself. So the one thing I didn't want, that would haunt me to the day I die, is if I left any kind of trauma on my two kids. Going, I remember my upbringing.
Did you?
I want them to remember their upbringing.
Did you become in any way more forgiving of your own upbringing? Did you get it, the lens as you see yourself as father when you're looking at your own kids? Do you suddenly think, oh God, maybe now I see that Dad was just under pressure that day?
Yeah.
Did you soften at all, or did you harden?
I had never really been hard about it. So for example, some people aren't meant to marry. Some people aren't meant to get together. It's a bad idea. And when they meet and get married, it's going to be bad. And they meet and they marry and it's bad. And then they have children and that's not going to go well. And it didn't go well all the time. But I don't blame either of them in any way. Do you know what I mean? So people make silly mistakes all the time. People fall in love with the wrong people all the time. That just wasn't meant to be.
But that suggests that a kid is a spectator to a bad marriage. You are also treated a certain way by your parents, and you either commend that or you criticize that. Like you can't have experienced a negative experience in how you were parented and not have some resentment.
So for example, my mum did her best, right? And has lots of love. My dad seems to have been this kind of, as I've gone on for a lot of time, is about this endless, this kind of black hole. It's just, there is no love. And shinna will, that's it. It's very hard to understand that. You don't understand that when you're a child. You don't understand it you really don't understand it when you're 14 or 15. You struggle with it in your 20s as well. And in your 30s, typically you're often very busy and you forget about it for a while. And then you realise it wasn't necessarily anybody's fault. I don't blame him, but you were completely unsuitable to be a father. That's the bottom line. And I said to you asked me about my children, the one thing I didn't want to do was that to happen to me. So for example, I wanted to make sure that I was available, always there, as much as possible, tactile, affectionate, listening, firm, because to be firm is to be a good parent, not a walkover, try not to spoil the shit out of them, and be a friend rather than be a patriarch. Patriarchy, I think, is dangerous because it alienates children, but be a friend, kind of an older brother character as well.
Did you think you were a good actor? I'm
not sure.
Do you watch yourself or listen to yourself back in anything that you
Yes.
do? Do you?
Yes.
Why?
I think it's possibly a good idea, and I thought I was terrible.
Did you?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I was nervous and self-conscious, because the stuff you're talking about is on screen. Now, on stage and stuff, I've been much, 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 much better.
Why? Because you've longer time to establish the character?
Yeah, exactly. I found a character and I worked on a character and I discovered it.
When I watch you during the theatre shows, I always think the sheer level of energy that you have to pour into this. I mean, it is opening every artery and stepping out on stage. Doing that.
I'm not making it look that hard.
No, you're making it look that energetic. I would have thought acting doesn't require that much of you having to give of yourself. Like, I always imagine that at the end of the show, they scoop you into a wheelbarrow and take you home.
I adore that. I mean, my mother...
Genuinely, even with the long run, even if there's 10 or 15 in a row or 20 in a row.
100%, absolutely adore it. I adore the audience. I adore the audience. And I know that sounds a little bit lovey-ish, but I don't know what I'm exactly saying. Is it that you adore the fact of an audience, or is it you adore the laugh of an audience? I enjoy the feeling of being loved. And so, I have an easy Freudian way out here now, Anton. I'm just going to take it. Okay. And it's the love that I never received as a child. And of course, that hole that has been filled, my love. Like, I definitely suffered from a bit of a lack of that kind of parental thing. And I got it from plenty more in my family, aunties and my grandmother and stuff, and my granddad. But it's not quite the same. And you kind of go, where do you get this kind of almost secure love?
Yeah, the bedrock.
Kind of thing, yeah. And I found that it ephemerally comes through this audience, but you keep seeking it, and you keep seeking it, and you keep seeking it. And you kind of go, as long as I'm loved by them, that's one good thing sorted, fixed in life. Do you know what I mean? It's you bringing everybody together. So,
yes.
So you are responsible for all these people, the ripple of laughter. And you are responsible for them doing the elbow thing to each other. You are responsible. So there's a Mahatma Gandhi thing there going on as well, isn't there? There's a save the world thing there, isn't there? Let's face it. I saved the world.
For all your fleet management needs, visit niftybusiness.ie.